Well, Cowboy Jim, not too impressed with with, that's got it. Oh, not too impressed with the lighting. Hey, I had fun with that last video. I really did. Uh, and, uh, not too impressed with having to do that. Okay, seems to me like uh, we're on a roll as far as this medical junk that I've been through. And so the next one, it's retelling. I'm going to call this one the Big German Mare. Uh, Not of a town, okay? A big jumping horse, 17 hands high, big built, strong, and lady called me one day and said, Jim, I'm broke. Hey, she said, I need a place to keep my horse, and she said, I can't pay you. She said, I'm down to about $18. I said, woman, you tell me where to come. I'll come pick up your horse. I'll bring it back here. I'll take care of it until you're on your feet. And I said, I won't charge you a single cent. And she said, oh, Jim. I said, that's the way it is, woman. And so I did. And I unloaded that stupid horse of hers. And she, being a woman, had pampered that horse. And I don't abuse horses, but I treat them the same way I treated my sons. My boys, I treated them like men. Talked to them with respect like men. Showed them as much love as I was capable of doing. Do the same with the horse. Anyways, I led her stupid horse worth about, I don't know, $65,000, perhaps more. I think it was sold finally for about 85,000. Didn't matter to her because she didn't know how to manage money. Horse people quite often don't. They can be down to no food in the cupboard and go out and buy a new horse blanket for a stupid horse. That's the way they are. I'm a rancher. I use a little bit more smarts than equestrian people. Not much, perhaps, but a little. Hey, a little. Anyways, led that 60, $80,000 horse off the stupid trailer, and she opened the gate and shut the gate, and then I tried to get a $7 rope halter off that stupid horse that was so tall it could jump a house. And it kept its head way above my head. I couldn't get it. Well, my big mare ran up to me, and in an effort to get my attention, she made a slight noise. She was kind of on my left side, and I was holding on to the stupid big tall horse straight ahead, dapple gray. Oh, both horses were so good. Beautiful. Pedigree coming, you wouldn't believe. And Big German Mare, she figured she had had enough. And because she wanted to play with that other horse. And they did, but not before she spun. She was so tall, and her butt went so high in the air before she kicked me in the back, drove me straight to the ground. her momentum carried her over the top of my body. I opened my eyes, and all I could see were her teats. Children, those are nipples that horses suck on when they're babies. And then she jumped over me and she tagged me on my left arm and the side of the head, and she broke my nose again. I know it's just cartilage. Oh, but did she fetch me a kick in the side of the head? Might be reason, justification for my being the way I am. You never know. Anyways, they ran off down the fence, and then I heard them coming back, and I was in pain. People say shock. You should not feel. Hey, trust me. I was in pain, and the lady, she said, Jim, you gotta get up. I said, woman, I'm taking a shot at it. Couldn't do it. And she said, she is going to kill you. Well, I didn't need any motivation anyways, but if I did, that would have done it. I crawled over to the gate. I couldn't really use my left arm. I just green stick. I don't know why that is. Because my bones aren't too brittle, I suppose. That's why they don't break right off. And my arm, she had caught me sideways of the arm with her hoof, and she had cracked my arm from shoulder to elbow, right down the blessed arm. And so I only really had one arm. I could haul my sorry buns off the ground at the gate, and I was bleeding hard from my nose. And the lady said, Jim, you gotta let me take you to the hospital. I said, no. I said, you let me have half an hour and I'll get my composure. She said, Jim, please, let me take you to the hospital. She had said, I'll go get Boshua. I said, no, she worked all night. She's working again tonight. She needs her sleep. So I agreed. I went to the hospital and had to ride in the forward. I ran a Corvette in my big Dodge. I rode in a Ford, which is better than walking, guarantee you. When they finally got me on the operating table, they said, Jim, you have half an hour to live. And that's the way it is. Two surgeons, little Chinese guy. I like little Chinese guys, I'm telling you. They never stop trying to succeed. And a white doctor, both short. Short people are so irritating because they're never wrong. I'm most often wrong. I'm not tall, but somehow God's worked that out with me. A Chinese guy said, look, they'd taken all my clothes off, stretched me out on a special operating table with a full screen, full body length screen. Women in the back of the room watching. I'm shy, and they said, this is going to hurt a little. I thought, you have no idea what pain I'm in. And I said, go for it. They said, we're putting dye in your blood so we can see where you're bleeding. And so I watched, and the dye, it was just pumping through. And then it got to my spleen, and all I could see was a huge gush every time my heart beat, pumped. I said, "Is that where it's bleeding?" The surgeon said, "Bleeding?" He said, "No." He said, "It's gushing." He said, "You have 15 minutes and you're a dead man." I said, "Well, you better get busy." I said, "Hey, I'm actually starting to hurt. So bring on the drugs. Let's get her going." Told him, "Hey, don't you worry if I don't make it. I'm going home to be with God, and I'd like to be really stoned on whatever drugs you got. Okay?" They said, "No drugs, Jim. We gotta we gotta do this without anything like that." And they shoved a thing in my crotch up through that big vein or artery or whatever. And I watched on the screen. You could see that blessed thing uh, working its way into the spleen. I don't know how they made turns in that system, but they took the right cross road, and that thing, you'd see it in my spleen. And he said, "Now we're going to fill your spleen with glue." I said, "Hope it's waterproof." And oh, I have a sense of humor, but I don't know when what I'm going to say would be considered humorous, or when it's going to cost me a job. And it cost me a job one time. But anyways, let's stick to this story. So they did their surgery. The one doctor, he was a retired army doctor. A little Chinese guy said, "If I can't fix it with this, this doctor here, he's going to open you up, eh? And he's going to reach in and you probably just cut that spleen out." And I thought, and I told him, "Well," I said, I hope you succeed." I said, "Because arthroscopic stuff, hey," I said, "I can be back to work in a week." He cuts me. It's going to probably take me 3 weeks because it hurts. Okay. So the little Chinese guy fixed me, stopped the bleeding. We all sat there kind of staring where the blood had been pouring out of the spleen. You know, it takes 5 blood transfusions for a heart transplant. They gave me 6. I didn't have much left in me. And thank God I wasn't brought up in the Jehovah's Witness church. I'd just have died. Well, not that stupid anyways, but nonetheless. Okay, 8 days in ICU. 8 ribs, my left arm, my sore nose. My spleen was better, but those ribs, they hurt, eh? I told the doctor when he came in, I said, "Son, you're sending me home because I'm leaving." He said, "You can't." I looked at him, I thought, "You don't know me, son." I said, "I'm leaving." He said, "You have to do this and this and this." And he said, "We'll have to take you off morphine." I thought, that's not funny. Kind of like that stuff, eh? So I did what they required me to do, and I was out of the hospital about half an hour later. I'd called my wife of the day. She killed my blessed horse, eh? Called the vet when we were in the throes of divorce, and she put my horse down. Well, you want some finality to a relationship? Well, that worked. Pretty hard on the horse. Anyways, at least she came and got me. And went home. I watched her put the horses out. Yeah, like I'd called early enough because I was leaving. So I was sitting out on the deck and I watched her put the horses out. And I thought, end of the day, I'm going to walk out there and I'm going to find somehow I can get under the fence. I'm going to stand in with my horses as they pass by and I'll speak to them. Well, I walked out to the fence. I got down on my face. I mean, oh, thank God. Oh, whoa, I have time. Whoa. So, I figured the only way that I could get through that electric fence, I don't like shock, was I would gently lower myself to the ground, cracking my arm, 8 broken ribs. They hurt, I rolled under the electric fence. I stood up, and I was there when the horses walked by. I said hello. If I had known my ex-wife was going to kill my brown boy horse, I would have stopped him and hugged him. Such a good horse. Hey, that's all I'll say. Okay, the rest, it'll just lead to a rant. But hey, the highlight of standing in there with my horses was a little 6-month-old black and white stud colt with an attitude. I said, Rocky, how y'all doing, son? He immediately, it's so funny. Oh, dear God in heaven. He drop kicked me right in the blessed leg and broke my leg. I've had so many breaks. I know what they are. I know how they feel. And then the little jerk, he got ready to tag me again. I broken ribs or no, broken leg. Then I rolled under the stupid fence. I got out on the other side. I didn't stand up for a bit. Leg hurt pretty hard. Ribs hurt pretty hard. Sense of humor had been impeded, if not permanently affected, adversely affected. Anyways, I got up. Ex-wife walked over. She said, what's wrong with you? I said, little Rocky broke my leg. She is kind of an emotional nutcase. I didn't know that when I married her. She had a real fine rear end on her. That's about all I looked for back then. Oh, jeez. That's buns, not an appropriate measuring device when you're looking for a wife. It's not good. Anyways, I said, it's not broke off. I said, it's broke. Broke in. I said, I don't need to go and get a cast. She said she didn't know what you'd do if she saw me walking around with a calf stone. I thought, it's my leg, woman. Anyways, okay. So I figured out how I could get my leg up onto that tall bed, and I did, and I figured how I could try to avoid moving it, and I did, and all those things. 7 days went by. I was feeling better. I was running around on my quad. I was out in my cabinet shop talking to a man who I don't recall his name even. I put my foot off on the off side of the, we'd call it the blind side if you're in a haul truck, but I put my foot over there and I guess I had it at the wrong angle. And that bone, it came apart where the horse, little Rocky, had kicked me. The agony of that final quarter inch of that femur, I think, little tiny one, smaller of the two in your, I think that's what it was called, doesn't matter. And I said to the guy on the phone, I said, I better let you go. I just finished breaking my leg and it hurts quite a bit. And so it was nigh on to supper time, and I thought, I'm not going to go to the hospital tonight and ruin the doctor's supper. And I thought I'll just jump in my vet tomorrow and I'd pound the gears, which was difficult because my leg was broken. Fortunately, it was my right leg. Used the clutch with my left leg, and I braked with it too. So I didn't drive like a nut, which I had been known to do, because I liked old Dodges and Corvette Stingrays, and I just bagged them both. And so I walked into the hospital. The man was there. He had saved my life when I had a heart attack. And he said, Jim, what's with you today? I said, well, a little horse kicked me and broke my leg. He looked at me. He said, when did that happen? I said, about 8 days ago. He said, anyone ever come into my hospital and ask me to x-ray a leg they broke 8 days ago, he said, I wouldn't waste the money, but he said, you, Jim, you're special, aren't you? My one doctor called me the Iron Man because I am the most determined person I ever met, and because I believe in God, and I don't let the frailty of life interfere with what I want to do. My dad said one thing about you. Don't think he called me son. I don't think he ever called me that. He said, you don't let wisdom and common sense interfere with what you want to do. I don't. Anyways, that doctor, he said, we had to get you x-rayed. He said, show me where it's broke. So I pinpointed it. He put a little mark there. He come walking back in. He said, what color of cast do you want? I said, well, I'm kind of Protestant, not Catholic. That'd be a green one if you're from Ireland. But being a Protestant, that's what Protestant means, because the protesters spoke against the Catholic, I was going to say Catholic Church, but that's the way it was. And he said, Jim, I'll give you that orange cast. He said, there's a better one now. It's called an air cast. It costs money. I said, you better tell me how much. He did. I said, I can't afford that. He said, would you let me pay half? I said, sir, I would be honored. He was the guy. Oh, he was the guy when the Big Mare first kicked me, okay? Anyways, when I had my heart attack, he was the guy. I drove myself, I bagged that old Corvette. I just drove myself to the hospital. I ran the gears. I was sweating. I was having a heart attack. I was in pain. I had 7 different symptoms. I was in agony. I walked in that hospital. That doctor, he was behind a desk back about 100 feet from the front door. He came on the run. He ran at me. I said, brother, pretty sure I'm having a heart attack. He said, I know you're having a heart attack. Everybody was moving. And he rolled me in. He got me hooked up to shave some hair off my chest. And I said, sir, my brother, if I die, don't you let it wreck your supper. I'm just going to be with God. He said, you're not going today. He said, I've been praying for you since you walked through those doors. And he said, I don't think my God, our God, is going to let you go home today. So thank you. Thank you. Thank God he has given me a heart that is tender toward him. Gonna live till you die. Only you and you alone can determine where you spend eternity. You watch a couple of my videos and you'll understand what I'm saying. I won't take time now. I think I'm quite over time. You're gonna live till you die. Only you can determine where you spend eternity. I don't care that this is a bit long. Could mean your life. If you can humble yourself and say to God, I am sorry. Please, God, forgive me. I believe that Jesus Christ, the Messiah, who suffered, bled, and died on the cross for my sins. I am so sorry for having lived the way I have. Help me to be what you want me to be. Okay? Now I shut her off. God bless you. God keep you. Only you can determine where you spend eternity. No one else. That's a good thing.